Now, when I say 70-30, 30% of it I enjoyed. 70% of it I went, nope.
Yep.
Because of all of this junk that I'm like, why?
Let's talk about structure for a minute. Let's talk about the way a television show should be structured and how it shouldn't be structured.
I feel like a lot of the dialogue in this episode was redundant. Like, there was a ton of redundant dialogue. Like Ahsoka talking to Sabine about there's more to being a Jedi than just wielding a lightsaber.
I don't know what happened in her head. I don't know why she decided, you know what? No.
Ahsoka got in her head because Anakin's there. He can
Because
bring her into the. He can bring both of them into the world between worlds and then bring them back over.
And back then, it was just like he was just really, really good and really, really tactical at a super young age. And they're like, wow, like he understands this way more than you should. He's just super intelligent. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Black and White Reviews. My name is Lee.
And my name is Chuck.
And my name is Will.
And today we are talking about Part 8 of Ahsoka, the Jedi, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. The Lion, the Witch, and the Warlord. Oh, jeez. Hold on. What's this called again?
The Jedi, the Witch, and the Warlord.
Oh, that's what it is.
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
I thought it was the Doctor, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Oh, yeah, that was a great episode.
That was a fantastic
I really loved
episode.
that one. Yeah. Will, you never watched that.
Probably not.
So sad. Anyway.
Oh well.
Yeah, so we're watching. This is we're finally talking about the finale. I say we're finale talking about the finale of Ahsoka.
We're finally talking about the Filoni's finale.
Filoni. Yeah, Filoni baloney.
Before we start though, we are trying a little something new. And Will has recently watched a movie that he just showed me the trailer to.
Yeah, we were. Well, I mean, he sent it to both of us. But,
well, yeah,
you just
like a week ago.
It looks. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
But the trailer looked amazing. Tell us a little bit.
So,
why.
The creator. I watched the creator. Directed by Gareth Edwards.
Okay.
Of Godzilla 2014, and what we would know him for, well, you two, would be probably Rogue One from 2016, 2017, whenever that thing was released.
Godzilla 14 was that the Bryan Cranston?
For about the first 10 minutes of that movie where he was
2
in
2 seconds.
And
they made a big thing
gone.
about it,
They
like
made
he
a
was in this
massive
movie,
thing.
and then like it's just
so
him,
weird.
and then he's like immediately dead, and you go,
Bye. Have a good one.
Well,
Goodbye, Bryan Cranston. No, here's what I will say. I'm not going to give anything away about the movie. I'm not going to talk about any spoilers or anything about the story or whatnot. I will say that I like the film, but most importantly, I am now looking at Hollywood and primarily like Disney, DC, Marvel, the whole shebang bang, especially like, universe IPs. For a movie like this to come along, an almost original concept, not attached to an already established universe, not attached to an already established IP, to come along and do what it did on the budget that it was on, and be able to look just as good as any $200 million plus box office. This movie had a budget of $80 million, and it looks fantastic. It looks like it should. Yeah. It looks like it should stand toe-to-toe with anything that costs $200 million plus to make. I don't know what that means. I don't think it's a good thing. And I'm now looking at everything else with kind of a side eye, and I'm questioning, where is all of this money going? If for nothing else, that should be like one of the important things coming out about this movie. Was it's new, it's original, it's a different idea, it's not something that has already been done before, it's not a sequel or a trilogy piece or whatever. It's fantastic, and it's new, and it's fresh, and it cost $80 million to make. And the studio gave Gareth Edwards, a guy who has not directed a film since 2016, all of this money to go off and make this movie. And I think that's fantastic. I think
so.
That's regardless, film. I can't see. Well, I don't want to give anything away, but I can't see how they. Well, actually, that's a lie. I can see how they would do a sequel, but for what
Hollywood
this
gets
is,
their grubby fingers on it. When Hollywood gets their grubby.
Well, it is Hollywood. It's 20th Century Studios.
Yeah. Well, there we go. They can get anything You know,
I
they can
mean,
make
so
anything
it's
into a
it's
sequel.
20th Century Studios, but I mean, for right now, I'm happy that this movie exists. I'm happy that it was even made. Story aside, characters aside, I am very happy that this movie is out there and it exists and that it was made and that it only cost $80 million to make. And you look across the aisle and it's like $200 million, and it's like this looks fantastic. I can't explain it.
How long was the movie?
2 hours? Under?
So
Yeah,
so it's under 2 hours. Okay.
Yeah,
that's good.
yeah.
That's
It's not a
good.
ridiculous runtime.
It's not 3 hours like your normal
it's
film.
not.
now.
No, it's not a ridiculous
Let's go to
runtime.
the theaters for the day.
Well, they make the 3-hour movies because they have to give everybody. They paid like $1 million to their screen time.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like let's plan for like half a day to go to the movies.
Yeah.
Let's go to the movies.
You bring your Depends, and
Sit
whatever
there,
you need. Just
go.
sit there the whole time. Just go, man.
So-
Just go.
We're
So-
not there
Really
yet.
warm.
We're not that old that we're at the point where we got to start thinking about Depends. You just stop.
Oh, you remember the Avengers diapers they made when Endgame came out?
You
No.
want-
It was great.
no.
It was like Avengers branded diapers. It's like, here you go.
That's ridiculous.
It was like, oh, getting ready for Endgame, and this girl had this giant bag. It was like a clear garbage bag full of popcorn. She's like, ready for Avengers Endgame, sitting in the theater.
it's not that long. I mean, it's long, but it's not that long.
Whatever.
Was
2 hours and 15 minutes. I apologize. 2 hours and 15 minutes.
and 15
Still.
minutes of that is credits. So
Probably.
yeah.
Yeah, opening and
Um,
closing.
So when I saw the trailer, it's a lot to do with AI, which go figure
Yeah.
with today.
Yeah.
What's going on today?
Mm-hmm.
You said aside from the story and aside from the actors, like was the story good or was it dumb?
It's been explored before. I won't say that it hasn't. If you've seen Blade Runner, if you've seen Ex Machina,
Right.
even if you've seen District 9, like it's the same type of
I was
feel.
thinking- I was
type
feeling
of
feels
District
thing.
9.
like right off the bat. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
You can get
same.
that.
It's the
District
same kind
9
of
was
theme.
more aliens than AI.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but it's still.
I was even getting like an iRobot feel to it when I started watching the trailer. Is it iRobot-y or is it more Ex Machina?
It's more Ex Machina than it is iRobot. Wait, it's
Yeah.
not. I wouldn't
Yeah.
compare this to iRobot. I would compare this to Ex Machina.
Okay,
I would compare this to Ex Machina.
that was that was
There's-
actually a fantastic.
There is
movie.
kind of, and I don't understand this, but based on a lot of the reviews that I've read, there is kind of a war element that's going on where people want to try to compare this to something like Apocalypse Now. I don't personally see it. I see more Terminator than I see Salvation. Like, and that's what I will say.
Yeah.
This does that, like what Salvation was trying to do. This does it better.
Ooh,
Okay.
I will
I'm
say that.
intrigued. I am very
This
intrigued.
does it so much better than so. But Salvation was played because Christian Bale was just not a John Connor. So maybe that's my
No.
problem.
But he did like Guns N' Roses, so it's
Of
okay.
course,
It's
yeah.
all okay.
It's
Yeah,
fine.
because he
It's
played
fine.
one song.
Because they grabbed the cassette tape and nostalgia. Remember? Like,
Remember
the-
Alice in Chains?
yeah.
Yeah.
No, but
So-
I will say that the movie what Salvation was trying to do, this movie actually pulled off really well. A praise that I will give the movie is, and I really wish a lot more movies did this. It happened a lot back in the 90s and a lot of action movies, like a lot of John Woo films, how you would open the movie up and you would get the like entire backstory and premise of the movie during the opening credits. That way you weren't asking yourself a whole bunch of questions like during the actual
Yeah.
film. They do that here, where they lay all the groundwork for the entire movie during the opening credits. And it's quick
That
cut,
makes sense.
quick cut, and it's just like, okay, I get it,
And you get
I
it.
understand, and then they plop you right into the world, and you completely understand everything. It's fantastic.
Which is the opposite of Dune, which was the entire 3-hour movie.
I fell asleep.
Sleeper.
Yeah.
Is just world building.
It was
See, I didn't
awful.
make that mistake and watch Dune because I knew exactly what they were gonna do. Like, we're gonna
Yeah.
set up this. They were gonna set up this movie for the sequel. Get ready, guys! Like, I knew
I don't even
exactly what
think-
that was gonna
We
be.
started that movie at like 10:30 p.m.
Yeah.
We were toast. A half hour and we're like, are we going somewhere?
I don't think
Is
I
something
missed anything,
happening?
and I slept for like an hour and a half of
You
it.
slept throughout the whole movie.
I don't think I missed anything.
And it was all your idea. You're the one who really wanted to watch it.
It was because it was a new.
I know we had like
HBO
7
Max
of us
was like,
there. It was.
HBO Max was like Dune's coming out in 30 days, then 29 days. It was like this.
Did you
big
watch
thing.
the original?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Now, where can you? Is this streaming anywhere right now, or was it just in theaters in September? So it's still theaters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Still
I
in
might wait till
theaters.
it's streaming to watch it.
Which is
You always come with
fine.
me. I got a gift card.
Oh, that's right. You got a gift card. Let's go do it.
Yeah,
I would
really nice enough to give me
I
a
would
gift card.
recommend it, especially for like us, because we're a podcast that's geared towards sci-fi. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So I would absolutely say I would recommend it. I would say go watch it. Yeah. The one big criticism that I will give this movie is and it's nothing against John David Washington at all. I think he's going to be a fantastic actor, but I think he has to grow into it a little bit more. I do not think he's experienced enough to carry a film by himself. I didn't think that when I saw Tenet. I don't think that now. It's nepotism incarnate.
Something was missing.
It's nepotism. That's all. That's
I still need to see that movie.
It is
Nepotism?
Oh,
yeah.
That should be a movie.
No,
Watch
Nepotism
this.
incarnate.
Watch this, because it is. It is. The only reason why he's in the stage of his career right now that he is because his father is Denzel. That's the only reason. That's the only reason. He doesn't. I'm not gonna say he doesn't deserve it, but
yeah,
he falls flat. He fell flat in Tenet. He falls flat here. I'm not gonna lie.
There were parts of Tenet where I was just kind of like, what gives him the right?
Exactly. Yes.
So I've never actually.
Well, you know what gives him the right.
I'm thinking like the character, like what gives this character the right, because they haven't done something that makes me feel like they can say these lines or whatever yet. Like something was slightly off, and when I watch something like that, I tend to go, oh well. I guess this is just normal. This is just how things are, and you won't normally get some type of like build up in a character at all. Like,
it makes it 10 times worse because he sounds just like Denzel.
Yeah.
It makes it so much worse. It's so bad. It's so bad. And again, this isn't me knocking on him. I think
he looks nothing like his dad.
Nothing like him. But he sounds like him. Just like this is not what was his name? This was not
Ice Cube's son.
Exactly. I was just about to say, yes, Ice Cube's looks just like him. Especially when I go and watch that NWA movie.
Ice Chips.
He looks just like him. It's wild. But here, you're right. He looks nothing like Denzel, but he sounds just like Denzel. And they play into that in this movie because there are parts of their dialogue where he's not on screen, but he's talking, and it's like, oh, you're clearly doing this just for this effect. Just for this. It's so obvious.
So while you bring that up, this is something else we're going to talk about at some point soon. We're talking about going through the Superman movies. We've done a few of them now. I mean, we didn't talk about one.
We've done three. We did 4. We did 3, and now we're going to do
3
2.
and 4. So we're just gonna work our way back.
No, you guys did 3.
Whatever.
I never did 3.
Black and white. Listen.
Yeah, I get that. But
okay.
That would be a conversation that I would love to be a part of. Because it's one of my all-time, like Superman's my all-time favorite.
Well,
obviously.
just to wet people's, whistle here about what's, appetite, we'll say, about what's coming out at some point. We're going to talk about Superman 2, which most of people who listen to us would understand that there are 2 different versions of Superman 2. We've got the theatrical cut that was released originally in 1980. Was it 80? Yeah.
1980.
And then the Donner cut released in 2004 or 2006.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, right. 2006. Yes.
6. Okay. So we got the Donner cut released in 2006. Now,
which I mean,
being,
if you
Richard Donner was kind of didn't get to finish his movie, and
no,
we're like,
he did
well,
not.
we want to see it, and that. So I feel like the Donner cut was like the original.
Yes.
Like if that never existed, we wouldn't have gotten the Snyder cut. There wouldn't be talks of a Schumacher cut. Like all these things about. Like, wow, look at what we shush, okay? Shushmacher.
So
Teschmacher.
It's Teschmacher
doing and get ready because doing this podcast, I'm gonna have a whole lot to say about Brando and how arrogant of a man he was to demand 11% of gross. And the only reason why the Donner cut was released is because after he died, the estate was like, yeah, go ahead, do whatever you want. It is a wild story why Donner was let go. Like, just the whole thing surrounding it, too, that he was filming both Superman and Superman 2 back-to-back, and then he was abruptly goodbye.
Canned.
Yeah.
Because Brando.
Yeah.
There's more to it than that, but that's what I ultimately boil it down to.
Yeah.
Brando.
We'll get more into that when we talk specifically about it. But the only reason I brought that up was there's a couple things we've talked about, and I think you've coined the term, or not, you didn't coin it, but you've brought the term up, meta. You know, what is meta? When we watch a movie like, when we talked about The Flash, and it's like, I just wanted to bring you back. You did bring me back, which is basically just saying, hey, look, Michael Keaton's Batman again.
Yeah.
Like that line is meta, because it's not a fourth wall break per se. It's more of a nod to everybody who understands what it took to make the film. And then you're talking about just like why they did things to make it like, here's a nod to Denzel Washington because he's, Denzel's son. And when I was watching the bit of the Donner cut that I just watched recently, it's funny because at one point you get like Zod and his crew walking down the road, and these cops are like, "Oh, $10, they're from LA." Was like a stupid line, and it's like $10, they're from Los Angeles. It's funny because they are, but
right. Yeah. It's also where she has her badges too.
Right. So all of that is just, it was funny. It was like, that's like early meta, like a joke on that. But I mean, we've seen stuff like that for a long time, but it's like nowadays I feel like they're trying to, when they make a movie, I know we've talked nothing about Ahsoka, but when they make a movie, they make a show and everything, they're really trying to show people, hey, in this story, we're gonna like make jokes. Like, we know it's a movie, so it's almost as if the creators of the show are doing a fourth wall break,
right?
By speaking directly to us, as opposed to the character in a movie,
right?
Looking at us. My favorite.
There are as many ways to do a fourth wall break. I just think when they get creative with it, I really enjoy it. So like when they have the actor that just looks at the TV screen or the camera.
So that's what I'm gonna get to. So like Deadpool is like the fourth wall break, defined in a movie. But my favorite, my all-time favorite has to be Eddie Murphy in two movies, and of course you know where I'm going here, Will. There's his face when he's put in the cop car in Beverly Hills Cop. But my favorite part is when the Dukes are explaining to him what bacon is in Trading Places. Bacon, pork bellies, which could be used to make, sausages, or bacon, which you might find in a bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich. And he just goes and looks at the camera like they think I'm stupid. Like, it is. I feel like that was like the beginning of fourth wall breaks in a movie that like didn't happen consistently through it. It was just there once, and you go, was that supposed to happen? Why does the director allow that?
Eddie Murphy did that a lot because it was in Coming to America as well. The bums who were on the street, they were the rich guys from Trading Places. So it was like a callback, but not a callback.
That wasn't a look to the camera though. That was more of a tie-in and a
might
reference.
As well have been
Easter egg, or well, whatever.
It might as well have been. It was a little.
That was an Easter basket, is what that was.
Sure, yeah.
So, anyway, so lots of really cool stuff coming out. I'd say it's worth checking out The Creator. You seem really excited about it.
I would.
From what we've seen in the trailers, I'm all for it too.
I would 100% recommend it. And again, this is not a movie that I recommend based off of the story or the characters. This is a movie that I recommend simply to promote the idea of original content, or an original idea, or a movie that comes along that's not attached to anything else. Like, I want to push the idea of let these studios know that you want to see more originality and you want to see less of the universe or this established thing. Like, it's fine. I want to see more of that.
The universe would be fine if it wasn't shoved in our faces every 6 months, or even every 3 months.
Now, though.
Well, but what's funny? We loved that about Marvel at one point, and then Marvel started putting out stinkers, and now we're like, okay,
when it was Marvel,
can we just move on?
But when Marvel did it, it was a big movie once every 18 months.
Yeah,
Right,
Yeah.
and it wasn't.
Now there's
wasn't
content coming out every 4 months,
Right, it
whether it's a
wasn't
show
saturated.
or a movie,
Yeah.
because they're trying to keep up the momentum. I think the big thing is like COVID messed a lot of stuff up.
Right.
Then we've got the writers and the actors strike.
Which
That's
is
messing a
over
lot of stuff
finally.
up. Yeah, but
So-
even so, it's like we have all these things that are hindering more content. So they were trying to shove things in to make up for lost
but
time.
I know
but
we're
what
not there
actually-
yet. I know we're not there yet, but I just want to make one comment about this. I agree with everything that you're saying right now. I will say that after the smack in the face, blatant tease that was in Loki, my interest is piqued a little bit. You don't
We'll
even
talk
know what
about
I'm
that.
talking about.
No, there's a few things
There's
we'll talk
one
about.
thing. There's one major thing.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
Yeah.
We'll get into it. But we're talking about Ahsoka right now, which is
Oh, are
Star
we?
Wars. Now I'm going to say this. I'm going to say, because they introduced the world between worlds, what's stopping Disney from combining Marvel and Star Wars at this point? I mean, Marvel Comics did put out Star Wars comics at one point. So there is a tie, like well before there was an actual acquisition.
I don't think they'll ever do that in live action.
I don't think they'll
Nah, I
ever
don't
do
think
it, but
they'll
now
ever
we're
do it
talking.
either.
Now we're talking about different galaxies, different timelines, worlds between worlds, time as a circle.
That would
You know,
be
all these
wild.
different things that are coming out between both of these. Yeah, it's a circle. You know, it never ends. It's a circle, and like they're really getting into all this stuff. I'm just like, you know what? What's stopping them at this point? You know,
Anakin-
fans.
Anakin pruned
Anakin
Loki.
just standing
So-
there like this.
Anakin pruned Loki.
That's what I just said. Yes. Anakin.
Yes.
Anakin's the one that pruned
That's
Loki.
fantastic.
Yes.
Oh
So-
boy.
Sure. Anyways,
The world
so
between
Ahsoka,
worlds is where he who remains lives in the world between worlds. I mean, that sounds like it makes sense. Anyway,
Anyways,
let's get into this episode. I mean, I really want to talk more about Loki, but right now we're going to talk about Ahsoka because, yeah, no, I will. Yeah, we'll talk about that next. Anyway, so we've got this whole thing here. I will say, as I always love to say, I was right about a few things. So it's nice to see that this episode played out the way it did.
yes, they're clones.
But I will-
they're clones.
No, I didn't say that.
Well,
they're-
their bodies.
Zombies. I talked about them being undead, and they clearly were undead
So,
here.
Yes.
do you mind if I go first this time?
Yeah, sure. I do mind.
Okay, go.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I've been quite silent most of this podcast so far. Yeah, I saw that part and I noped out so fast. I was like,
This
they're-
is not Star
so,
Wars.
so first of all, they're not really zombies.
This is
They're
Walking
being
Dead.
they're being controlled by the witches.
So it's necromancy, which
Yeah.
Because their eyes glow green just like their eyes. You know,
yeah.
you can see the magic that's being used in them, and I was like, dumb, so dumb.
It
This
is-
is ridiculous.
It's
this
really
is dumb.
stupid. It's
This
really
does, I will
stupid.
need your dark magic once again.
We talked last week that there's someone brought the possibility of Ezra being like working for. Yeah, I can see that.
Of him being like
Yeah,
evil. Like,
Yeah, he's
something's up
definitely
there.
he's definitely working for what's his name.
You think so now?
You don't think that was way too, how did he get a ship off of the Star Destroyer?
Well, they had the skeleton crew.
It was just him.
We'll go ahead.
No,
Keep
he's the
going. We'll
only
talk
one
about that.
out of all of them that got on. He's the only one that got on the Star Destroyer.
I know you don't know Ezra, but Ezra was like his thing is that he just steals people's armor and always just like blends in. And I don't know if you've seen any of the any of the memes all over the place about him being called Jabba and confusing him with Jabba the Hutt. They were I think it was twice, at least once I remember in one of the episodes, the one where it was the one where Ahsoka gets yanked out and all that blah 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 stuff, where he meets Darth Maul and he's like, "What's your name?" and he goes, "Jabba." So he introduced himself as Jabba with a fake name, so he doesn't tell Maul who he is. So that's the whole joke. So
Right.
if you're wondering what, it's like, he pretended his name was Jabba just so he wasn't
So
giving himself away.
with this episode, I was like 70-30.
Uh.
I was like, there were big parts where I really noped out. The stormtroopers come back to life. I noped out. them getting left behind at the end, I was like, so dumb.
So they just reversed where they started. They started here, and now it's just reversed.
Yeah,
Sure.
Ezra's back, and Thrawn's back, but
they
the two we
accomplished.
followed are.
They literally. If I looking at this, if I was looking at it from a tactical point of view, if they were going back to get Thrawn to then bring him back, I would just stay until they brought him back and then fight him, because now he's back and the only Jedi who can defend them is not there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
Kind of undoes the entire thing.
it's totally pointless.
Yes. Yeah.
I was like,
It's a problem.
it's a huge.
Why didn't you just wait a couple days?
And it wasn't a cliffhanger. It was just like,
Oh,
I will say this. I will say this.
No, that's
will?
mine.
The ending.
No,
The-
this is
the
mine.
final-
That's
Final
mine.
ending of this, I completely noped out with. I
Can I-
completely went, no.
Let's
No,
talk,
no.
Let's talk about structure for a minute. Let's talk about the way a television show should be structured and how it shouldn't be structured. When you do a season of television, okay, and you have a story arc, there is a beginning, a middle, and an end. And when you get to the finale, or even the penultimate episode, you start laying the groundwork for what's going to happen in the next season. You introduce
Correct.
a little tease or a new element of something that you know isn't going to show back up, and then you move on. And then the cliffhanger can be whatever you want it to be involving that. That's the way that you do things. You don't tell the beginning and middle of a story and then completely leave the ending part of the story for your cliffhanger. It's a smack in the face. What is Balin doing? Why is he standing on a mountain? Who's this dude's face? Lee, I don't care what you say about Rebels or Clone Wars or anything. It doesn't matter. They should have told you in the show what the deal is with him. And
right.
It's even more confusing because he's dead, and rest in peace to rest his soul. Yeah, but he's
Yeah.
not with us anymore. So
Right.
why not just here's
Cut
what's
that part
going
out.
on? Either cut that whole part out, or just like, here's what's going on with this planet, and I don't know, he fell into a pit and he was never heard from again. Like, that would be a perfect, befitting ending for whatever his story is and whatever power he's looking for. But just him standing on a cliff and a
standing
dude's
on the
face,
statues
standing on a statue of what?
of the kings in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just this one was pointing, and like Lord of the Rings, they were
Yes.
all palm up.
Why? For what reason? This isn't a
But
cliffhanger. That's not a
but that wasn't
cliffhanger.
even-
That's a
No,
smack
it's
in the
not.
face. That is a
But that
smack
wasn't
in
the
the
cliff-
face. Here is
But that wasn't the cliffhanger.
that was absolutely the cliffhanger.
No, the
That
last
was-
part was somebody else that they couldn't see.
You know who it's gonna
And then they saw. The very last part was they're staring out into the horizon,
be. Mm-hmm.
and they're feeling something, and then lo and behold, Anakin. You see him as a ghost, as a Force ghost,
Force
and then
Ghost Anakin.
it's done.
Yep.
Yep.
Noped out. Now here's the biggest part. That I
I don't
noped
have a
out
problem
on.
with that at all, actually. I don't have a problem with Anakin showing up at all as a Force ghost and just looking. Like, that's whatever.
I
At
don't have
this
a problem
point-
with that. I have a problem with the fact that they're feeling him, but they can't see him. But then he's there, and we can see him. That's what I have a problem
Well, it's
with.
because the Force is stronger with us.
Right. Here's where I really, 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 really noped out. Okay? Sabine
Yeah.
can't move a cup.
Nope.
know.
She can't break a wall. She can't grab a lightsaber.
Nope.
She can't do jack. And then she's about to die, and she can grab her lightsaber and Snoke this guy to death,
and
then force push
And then
him across.
30
push.
seconds later,
Force
she's like, I
push.
can do this. And he goes, okay. Yeah. And she does it. And you're like, wait,
How?
what?
How? You think Rachel?
I
you
was
think-
hoping he
you
would
think
fall.
Rachel
And then
was
she'd
Yeah, so
be,
was
she'd
I.
be super
So was
guilty. And
I.
it's like, oh, well,
So
I
was
would've-
whatever.
I would have been fine. You think Rachel in Titans, who does this like small stuff here, this was way worse
This
than
is
that.
a
Yeah,
lot
this is
worse
pretty
than
bad.
Rachel.
This is
This
pretty
is
bad.
worse than Rachel in Titans,
Yep.
yes.
Now, when I say 70-30, 30% of it I enjoyed. 70% of it, I went, nope.
Yep.
Because of all of this junk that I'm like, why?
Listen.
The fight scenes were cool. The rest of it was like, huh?
So the actress who plays Morgan Elsbeth, her godfather is Bruce Lee. So she has like a history of the stuff that she's been a part of. I forget the actress's name. I mean, I can just look at it, but the point is, like, it was cool that they finally gave her like another fight scene, because the last time we saw her actually have a fight scene was that like one scene in Ahsoka. Diana Lee, Ino Santo.
Sabine?
No. Morgan Elsbeth.
No, the witch that got
Oh, the
turned
witch,
into
yeah.
an even more powerful witch and then died.
Because she had no
Yeah.
powers.
Because we are going to bestow you with the honor of becoming an even more powerful witch
No,
than you
we're
already
gonna give you
are.
black eyes. That's
And
what we're
here's
gonna do.
here's your sword. Now go sacrifice yourself for us. Die.
Yep.
Why?
Yeah.
So they could escape.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yep. So
Yeah, I really noped out on a lot of this episode.
I noped out with Thrawn even harder than I did for the past couple of episodes. He's supposed to be strategic. He didn't do anything. What did he do? He flew away. Oh, Anakin, and I know you, and I know your tricks, and I'm one step ahead, and all he did was fly away. What did he do? He flew away.
I'm gonna read a meme. Okay, and it's basically him standing there, and it's just all this stuff. He goes,
Yes.
Cargo transfer. This the whole episode is. This is all Thrawn does here. Cargo transfer is complete. Good, but we can't leave yet. We need to let the Jedi sneak in. Many others have underestimated the Jedi. I will not be the same. Dispatch only 2 fighters. Let's do the interlocking here in atmosphere instead of in space. Okay, so the Jedi have a chance. Great. You will stay here to deal with the Jedi, and we will try to leave when you are close to defeat. Sir, Jedi are in the tower. Can we at least go a few hundred meters higher so they can't reach the Star Destroyer? No, I can only be as smart as the writers and hope the fans believe I am accurately portraying a tactical genius.
I vote we do what pirates have always done. We fight to run away.
Fight to run away.
Honestly,
I am 1991.
Oh, that's fantastic.
They started this book. Timothy Zahn wrote this character, created this character of Grand Admiral Thrawn. And it
2023. Dave Filoni made a TV show about him and killed him.
Well, no, they didn't kill him because now, like I mentioned before, they are pushing for an heir to the Empire storyline. With all those caskets, I mean, they're caskets. There's no doubt about it. He talked about all their the many they lost. That's the dead. That is all the dead stormtroopers, the dead Empire remnants that he had on his ship. And they're all in caskets.
Yep.
And he's going to either use the Night Sisters' powers to bring them back, or something else. Blah blah blah. But the point is, here we go. Honestly, I was hopeful.
Congratulations!
Because I just somebody has to be hopeful.
We are this podcast is about to become very, very different because we are moving away from Disney for a while, and we talked about this off air. We're moving away from Disney for a while, and we're going to start doing Stranger Things in a few weeks. I can't wait. I can't wait to be doing one show, but 2 shows that are away from Disney. Titans and Stranger Things. I think it's going to be fantastic.
We're not doing Titans. Wait, what?
Whatever. The point is we're moving away from Disney.
Yeah.
That's the point. That's the point
I know,
that I'm trying
but
to
hey,
make right now. And I personally cannot wait for things like this. And when we get to Loki, oh boy, I have other things to say about that as well. Disney's smacking us in the face. That's
big time.
All they're doing. Disney is smacking us in the face. Okay? They are jerking us around. That is it. That's it. Because they know we're going to keep going back. That's why I gave such a glowing thing for the creator a little while ago, because it was original, it was outside of the box, and it wasn't this.
You know what's funny is I've mentioned this a few times on Hulu. They have a movie called The Multiverse.
You said this. Yes.
It is definitely an independent film. It's a B-rated film. It's an hour and a half, maybe an hour 45 minutes long. It is not the best acting, not the best special effects, but the storyline, the ending, I was like, "Oh wow, I did not expect that."
Yeah.
It was one that after you watch it, you're like, "Oh, it makes sense." But I was like, I didn't expect that, and it's actually a really, really good movie. And I'm actually enjoying seeing these people who are no name directors and no name writers coming up
Yes.
with this stuff, and
Yes.
you're not dealing with the politics that goes on behind the scenes of Hollywood.
You know
As-
why though?
Well,
Because these people who are creating things are us. It's us.
Yes. Yeah.
It's those of us that are tired of seeing the garbage come out.
I think
We
that's
want to see something original and new.
that's definitely one point to it. Another point that I'll make about this is I think the age of gatekeeping is going to die. As much as I love Nolan, Scorsese, Tarantino, as much as I love those directors, there is certain money that is gatekept by those names.
Yeah.
A lot of no names aren't going to get that kind of funding, and I think that has to change. I think that has to change, and the old guard got to kind of, your time is done. You got to go away and let
Right, because those
arise.
guys came to that time because they started out as one of these guys.
Right.
But for the same names to be getting all of the directing jobs, all of the money, all of the funding, and not really leaving room for anybody else to be creative is something that I don't support.
Neither do I. And that's why, I've seen, there's so many other films. Like we're talking about Ex Machina, fantastic film. There's another movie on Netflix. Another movie on Netflix called Time Trap, which we talked about. It's such a fun movie to watch. It's super fun. It's interesting.
It's a movie.
It's a movie. It's a movie.
It exists.
It exists, but it's fun to watch. And you know what?
There are
now,
pictures. They're moving, and there's audio.
But what I'm saying is, I would rather watch that than Doctor Strange.
There's a Wilson. It's the Wilson brother that nobody knows.
Right.
Not Owen, not Luke.
Oh, there's another one?
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's an Owen.
Kind of like the forgotten Baldwin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many Baldwin? Whatever. Anyway.
But here's the thing, though.
There's a bunch of them. How many Baldwins are there? How many Wilsons are there? How many Waynes are there? There's a bunch of them. I can't keep track. I'm done.
Right. But the thing is, though, is I'd rather watch one of those films where the special effects aren't nearly as good, even if the story isn't as good, because it still gives. It's still they're putting they're doing a better job just overall and just making it. They're putting their all into like bringing you into the film, and not just like giving you a special effects adventure. I'm tired of like Marvel, Disney, Star Wars, all these guys using 80% special effects for everything.
I'll say something right now, and Lee, I'm sorry if you get a little upset at this. After Loki, if the three of us decide that we're gonna take a break from everything Disney, I wouldn't be mad.
Neither would I.
I would not be mad at that at all. I don't think it's that bad of an idea. I'm tired of being jerked around. I'm tired of...
I think the reason why we're doing this, though, is we all love the first season of Loki. Right?
Well, yeah.
Loki was really, really good.
Yes. And we'll get there.
So
we'll get there.
So that's why...
I'm mostly saying that. Too. I'm mostly saying that because of the way that this ended.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing,
well,
and I think
let's talk about Ahsoka ending or about Loki ending.
Yeah, let's.
Well, I'm going to talk about Ahsoka ending right now, and just so what are we going to do moving forward? Is it just Ahsoka and Sabine are going to be on this planet with the ant people, and they're just going to like move around and become nomads on this nothing area?
Well, we do.
Like,
we see that the whales don't just come there to die anymore. They leave.
Yeah, they leave. They're threatened.
They left them there. They left them there to die. They left. They went somewhere else.
You die here.
Whales will come. So whales will come back.
Yes.
Or
Yeah,
Or-
and then when the whales come back, they will
gonna
die
die.
because they're gonna. It's a literal graveyard.
It's a whale graveyard.
Or because
Do you not see the
Anakin-
bones? Because
Yes,
Anakin.
I did. Because Anakin's there, he
Because
can bring her
Anakin.
into the. He can bring both of them into the world between worlds, and then bring them back over.
So,
I know you hate that theory, but it
okay.
opens the door to everything.
Can I just ask this
Literally.
and just say we all understand that Anakin Skywalker is dead and just one with the Force at this point, right? We all get that now at this point.
I don't know.
The
this
only
one
reason we
scene.
saw him in the World
I
Between
don't
Worlds
know.
is because the World Between Worlds is different than the world. So that's why he didn't have a glow. He's dead. He's not
What?
just like sitting there walking around in some
Or
World
he's
Between Worlds.
alive in the world
I just
between
find it
worlds, and he's
exactly. I
projecting
find
himself
it
out.
really weird that this entire season of television like was gearing you up for like the dead are coming back and Jedi and death and resurrection and what's Balin doing and there's a whole thing and there's literal necromancy and you're still trying to sell the idea that Anakin is dead. I don't know. I'm not on board with that.
I'm not trying to sell the idea. They clearly did.
Oh.
He's a Force ghost out in the distance.
So what?
Is
If you
he a
read any
Force-
if you read any other article right now, people are like, yeah, see, that's the point.
I don't care
Is
what
he
the
a
is
Force
articles say.
ghost?
Yes.
Or
We saw him at the end of Jedi as Hayden Christensen,
I
thanks to
know.
Yes.
George Lucas,
Yes.
who was still in
Yay.
control at the time.
Yay.
And this ties that
Yay.
in. So now there's a consistency.
I don't like it, but I understand why they used him in Return of the Jedi.
I do too, because that's who he was. before he
Continuity.
totally succumbed to the yeah, yeah, and it fits in here. So it all kind of comes together. The question comes down even further. It's like, well, why was he dark when he was, a Force ghost in the World Between Worlds? It's like, well, I mean, just because.
Why was Luke dark in Empire Strikes Back in the cave?
Yeah,
He
I
was
mean,
Darth Vader.
yeah. The thing is, there's a light and a dark, and the thing is, it's not you don't die and just become light or dark, or just choose one you stick to it because you're dead. No, it's like you still have that connection to the Force, whatever it is, and you're dead. So I still love that episode, and no matter what anybody
So do
says,
I.
it's episode 5. I think it was fantastic.
So do I.
And he
I love
blew us
it.
away.
I do love
And
it, and I do love what Hayden-
I like that they use this entire series just to justify what happened to him and to redeem the character, give you a little bit more insight in there, and kind of shed light on his own struggle and what he was like as a master. Because she says like
He was a great
yeah,
master.
he was a good master. And then here, she's like, he never left me behind. He never walked away from me, even when everybody else did. And she's like, and I'm not going to leave you behind either. And it's like, that's valid. That did happen.
That's one thing that I'll say that I did like about this episode
Yeah,
was
but-
Thrawn had
but he
that
did-
line. Thrawn had that line about, Ahsoka and your master was blah blah blah. Maybe this is where rats like you belong, and he just leaves. So it's like
Ronins
it's
like you. He said Ronins.
Ronins.
Yeah.
Rodents.
He said
rodents.
a Ronin. A Ronin.
Ronin.
Not a rodent. Not a rodent.
Ronin.
Fine.
Ronin.
Maybe this is where rodents like you belong. Fine, but still, it's like, oh, that must sting a little bit.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
must hurt a little bit.
he says specifically as he just like leaves her behind, which I thought was kind of cool. With like when they left, like the wake of them going to Lightspeed just blew them around. But as he's saying, he's like, I regret we haven't met face to face. Perhaps we never shall. I know you because I knew your master. Blah blah blah. One wonders just how similar you might become.
How?
Perhaps this is where a Ronin such as you belongs.
And then he flew
Today's
away.
victory is mine. Peace. Long live the Empire.
Long
And he
live-
just goes.
Stupid.
Okay.
Here's the thing: is yes, Anakin was this great master until he wasn't.
Well, yeah.
When he started
Until
killing
he
Padawans.
She bailed. She left.
Until
She
he
left
wasn't.
before Order 66.
Until he was a great master until he wasn't.
Well, I mean it's valid.
I mean, he's killing younglings like left and right in Revenge of the Sith. I mean, let's get real. Like, I'm this great master. I'm gonna kill little kids.
Wait, did I send you guys a meme about that too?
No.
I thought I did.
This episode, though, it did not leave me wanting to see the second season.
No, not
Like,
at all.
That, like, I was like, eh.
So, one more thing that
Like,
I'll bring up. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You can finish.
No,
you
you
can
go
finish. Okay.
Hmm.
One more thing that I'm gonna bring up. Why why is Sabine just getting like a pass? This is all her fault. And Ahsoka's just like, yeah, I'm gonna stand by you anyways. You messed up, and this is all your fault. How come there wasn't like a dress down? Like, you're an idiot.
Well,
why would you let this happen?
Well, because she would have done that before, and that was the whole point that they were getting at.
But
that was Ahsoka's growth.
This is the situation that calls for a dressing down of the character. Like, no, you're a moron. This is your fault. And everything that's about to happen needs to be laid right out at her feet. This is all her fault.
Because she made that promise. That's why. I remember the meme, and it was basically, if you remember this, and it's very, 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 very valid. He walks in and they go, Master Skywalker, they're all around us. They're going to kill us. And he goes, wait, did you just call me Master? And the next thing you know, it cuts, and all the kids are fighting with him, taking out the clones instead. That is actually priceless, because that was a total, nobody caught on to that kid called him Master Skywalker. He was granted the rank of Master in a child's eyes. The other one was Anakin, when he's talking to, I forgot the dude, and he looks at me, he's like, your thoughts dwell on your mother. And then Anakin goes, my thoughts dwell on your mother. And they go, oh.
So are we doing an Ahsoka review or the reading of memes?
We're doing the reading of memes.
Well, that's what I said this 3-4 episodes ago, that when they brought Anakin on, most of the conversation would be about Anakin and not about Ahsoka.
Yep.
Here's the thing: is Ahsoka
sad.
except for the what?
It's sad.
I know, except for the fight scene against the witch.
Yeah.
She did nothing in this episode.
Oh.
Who, Ahsoka?
Nothing. Ahsoka. Except for the fight, she did nothing.
It's funny that the show is called Ahsoka, because it's not really about Ahsoka.
Not at all.
It's about everybody else
except Ahsoka.
But she's in it. She's in it. She's the middle, of the Venn diagram where things are connected.
Yeah.
It's just like that's Ahsoka in the middle, but everybody else is kind of like connected through her, and that's that.
I love Venn diagrams.
I will
and
say
electric buses.
I will say I like that that they were using Huyang a lot, and there was kind of that moment where Ezra was like connected. He's like, wait, you knew my master? He's like, yeah, I knew everybody. And they're showing like how big of a deal he is, and he like Huyang, yeah,
Huyang and Bob.
Huyang and Bob. No, Huyang, so he was like a Jedi like trainer, like that's what he was. He was working in the Jedi temple.
Yeah, we saw that. We got that in episode 1.
Right, but it's like it's interesting here where we're getting all the tie-in. But it's weird to me the way like Ezra's character in this show is so odd to me.
He's
like
a bad guy.
He seems like a bad guy because he's too
like a bad guy.
Because it's too obvious that he's just like this innocent, like something's up. I don't get it.
I'm sorry. He is. If it was me, 10 years,
I'd be pissed.
Beyond it.
I'm interested in seeing what they do with him.
I'm surprised he didn't like force choke out Sabine when she first came in.
Took you long enough.
I just want to know, like, because I nope out really hard to the idea that he survived on that ship all the way back to like the galaxy undetected.
That's a huge ship, and their crew was tiny.
I don't care.
There was nobody in there except for who was in the head. All the night troopers were not there.
The witches were able to find Ahsoka in the middle of a asteroid grave. But they can't detect that. They knew that Sabine was a Jedi as soon as she showed up. And they got the little balls and they surrounded her and tied her up and brought her to the cell. But they don't know. They don't know that he's on the ship.
They had to actively look.
Stop. No. I don't.
Your defense of these things sometimes.
Yeah, this is wild.
Befuddles me.
That's a wild defense.
No. The biggest thing I'm going to say about this is, even you guys know, they totally took this character, Grand Admiral Thrawn, and nerfed the poop out of him.
Of course.
Yes.
And it's so dissatisfying to anybody who's ever read anything, even the stuff that's considered canon. Is better than what we're seeing here.
The look on his face when he's about to, you see, he's almost about to lose, and he's like,
yeah. And he starts,
And you see him get all
Well, that's an
scrunchy.
acceptable
Yeah.
loss.
Yeah.
It looks
And then
like you'll
how
have to.
and then how right
We
before
don't
he's
have the
about
time to get out of here.
right before he's about to jump into hyperspace, he like puffs his chest out and raises up his chin and has that smile like he did something amazing. He did nothing
Yeah.
amazing at all.
No.
Nothing.
I sacrificed a bunch of people so I could get out of here.
Well, one thing was really interesting. There was a line in here where she's like, and they're all sacrificing themselves for you. And he goes, for the Empire. Like, the thing about him is he's never been arrogant in himself. It was all about what he stood for. So it's very much, to me, it's very much like Javert and Les Miserables, where it's like, it's not about him, it's about him upholding the law and upholding what his station is.
Yeah, but does he know the Empire is dead?
Of course, he has to. He has to know that they failed.
It doesn't come back.
Yeah, he doesn't really know
The New Order
much
comes
about
back.
what's going on over there. Yeah, but that's
But it's
still
not
like
the Empire, though.
what we
doesn't
know
matter.
of him.
It doesn't matter. Like I don't and again, I don't care about the books, I don't care about the cartoons, I don't care about any of that. I'm looking in terms of like timeline. The next big event that happens is like the rise of the New Order, and we have Thrawn back. Like it's clear and obvious that's like there has to be some kind of a connection there. Like
That
maybe
was Snoke, though.
well
That was Snoke.
Maybe Thrawn turns into Snoke. Ooh.
Thrawn's not a Jedi, though.
I'm kidding.
Snoke
I'm half kidding.
Snoke was Snoke a Sith Lord?
No.
He was a puppet.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could wield the Force.
The whole thing.
Yeah, he could.
Yeah. The whole thing. My whole point is if you're looking at just the timeline, it's kind of obvious to like look at the map that they're laying out right now. Like the next big thing to happen is the New Order, and oh my God, Thrawn is coming back.
Yeah, but he's not involved in the sequel trilogy. Which
Can I
makes
ask you
us
a
go,
question?
like, what are they going to do here?
The New Order was already established before the sequel trilogy happened.
Yes, it was.
So he
but
could
it's
have
not
died.
established at this point.
He could have died.
I know.
He could have established
know.
New Order and then died. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like that's the next event.
I know.
Or he went back to this other
So
galaxy.
this comes back to what I said before about like Better Call Saul. You know, it's like we've already watched like a show about it, you know, and in the show, this character had to go into like not witness protection, but basically into hiding with a whole new personality, or I mean a whole new character, and hide blah blah blah. Why would I want to see what happened to him before that? Because there's no way it's as crazy as what happened after he meets Walter White.
The problem, the problem with what you're saying right now is you didn't watch Better Call Saul for like, ooh, Walter White. You watched Better Call Saul to find out how he became a crooked lawyer.
Right, I know that
was the story there. There's a difference.
But the thing is, you think there's no way it could be as dramatic as what happened later on.
Oh no,
but they
absolutely not.
But they managed to make it still really, really good. I mean, I enjoyed the first season or two of Better Call Saul. I don't remember how far I got. It didn't reach the same peak, not at all. I mean, or
he doesn't peak.
Well, he does in Breaking Bad.
In Breaking Bad, he peaks.
Right, and that's the point.
Saul
and that's
was
why...
different. In Better Call Saul, it was a lot of start and stop. Like he would cross a line and then go back 10 steps, and then he would cross another line and go back 10 steps. Like that's what Better Call Saul was doing, and it was weird. Here, I wouldn't have a problem with that if like Thrawn turns out to be the guy to like establish the New Order and like or bring destruction to like the New Republic or whatever they're calling it right now. Like that, okay, I'll take that. If you want to draw a line of continuity there, fine. It makes sense.
Well, the hard part here is that there's a trilogy of books called Aftermath that takes place after Return of the Jedi that talks about the establishment. You know, it's before the establishment of the New Order here, or the First Order, whatever they're called. And
is it the First Order? I thought it was a new whatever.
I think it's the First Order. No, I think you think about NW. I think you think about NWO.
Yeah.
So the First Order. So in the show, in the books, the Aftermath trilogy, it's all about Brendel Hux, which is Armitage Hux's, I think, stepdad. He like adopted him or something. The little redhead dude who ends up being the rat in the last movie, which made no sense. Suddenly he's the spy, he's the mole. And we're like, wait, okay, so we've got the Emperor who was never dead, and suddenly put surprise, and then you get this one dude who's like leading the First Order, and he's been the mole the entire time. I'm the mole. We're like, wait, what? Like, it wasn't like a shocking thing, like, I'm Luke, I'm your father. It was more like, wait, this doesn't make sense. I don't get it. Like, that was, I hate that trilogy. It's so disjointed. But anyway,
I
like,
miss Rogue One.
Rogue One was so good, and that's why we liked Andor, and that's why we're looking forward to Andor season 2, because we had very little issues with Andor.
I have one issue with Andor. Well, I have one issue with you guys in Andor.
Oh yeah, well.
Haha. No, I know. The New Order is a Star Wars thing, was officially political ideology of aesthetic state religion adopted by the First Galactic Empire.
That was the First Order.
Why did I think, what's the First Order then?
Star Wars.
This looks like it
First
might be
Order.
something different. Well, New Order is definitely a Star Wars thing.
Order 66. The New Order is Order 67. Actually, he had a bunch of other orders, and if there's, it's written somewhere. I forgot how many. I think they found like 15 orders that he had, and it's like, one was like a a BLT, and then whatever else. But yeah, there's a whole there's a list you can find somewhere that somebody figured out after by going through all the Star Wars IP stuff just to figure it out.
I love that this episode was so horrible that we.
The First Order, or
literally
simply the
everything
Order,
else
was a fascist militia.
Uh-huh.
Unknown regions of the galaxy during the era of the New Republic, was ruled by a supreme leader, so no name. Huh. All right.
Long live the supreme leader.
Head of state,
Yeah, that's
Dark Lord Sith, secretly.
well, yeah.
Grand
They mentioned
Admiral,
that,
we don't know. Supreme Leader, we don't know.
right? But we know that in the first movie, though, when Snoke talks to the Supreme Leader all the time.
Yeah.
Who's the
No,
well?
Snoke was a supreme leader.
Snoke was the supreme leader.
Yeah, he was. That's why when he was
he
killed,
was.
the Kylo Ren became the new supreme leader.
Oh, that's right.
Good for
And he
Kylo
said,
Ren.
Supreme Leader is dead. And he goes, long live the supreme leader. Yeah,
All right.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, so this episode for me, I mean, if you're good, Will, it's disappointing. Mostly because of how much they nerfed Thrawn. I know I mentioned it before, but the best thing about the books, the original books that Thrawn was introduced in, is even though you had like his inner monologue in pages that you're reading, you didn't know that he was 10 steps ahead of his opponent. Well, I'll say his enemies. Well, I'll say his opponent. I wouldn't. Yeah. But that was the thing. He was always ahead of them until he wasn't. And then when he wasn't, you're like, whoa, like they bested him. How did that happen? Because he always studied. He always tried this out and that out and whatever. And it was such a really good story. But here, it's like, this is not what we saw before. I mean, yeah, he did get away. And that's what they tried to run with here. It's like, in the end, it's like, haha, he won in the end. It's like, yeah, but he wasn't expecting that stuff. And he clearly didn't expect it. He was clearly upset when things changed. So it was like, man, this is not who I want to see. And I understand it's not considered canon, but even in the canon, like, he still had a more of an upper hand, more of a foresight into what might be happening in here. And that's what makes his character so ridiculous. Now, if you look at his character as a being, he's got no force powers. I guess that's it. He's got no power besides influence and smarts. So he's basically...
No, he doesn't. He's not smart here.
I know, and that's the problem. Like,
no,
his
it's not.
character,
It's not the problem. It's not the problem. It's not the problem.
It's the solution.
It is. It is a solution
for the heroes, for the protagonists.
Yeah, it's that solution
Yeah.
for that.
It makes me not care about his character because he's not as formidable as the Emperor and Darth Vader, because they had something of an upper hand. He's got nothing. He's got nothing but these three witches that for some reason are obeying him. Still have no idea why.
Really curious to know
They are
why.
so much more powerful than him. I think they're just happy to get out of there, and that's the whole thing. Like, what is Balin Skull going after? Something that the witches don't want to be near either, and that's why they're trying to leave.
Why don't they just kill him?
Right?
The witches could just be like, you know what? If we kill him, and we could puppet this army.
They could puppet him.
Yeah.
Give him green eyes.
That would be fantastic. That would be amazing.
I'm sorry. That was That was so dumb.
The green eyes? It's well, I mean,
No,
it
no,
makes
no.
sense for the Night
I get
Sisters.
no, I get the green eyes because
because it was in the game too, right? I think the game they had green eyes. Oh yeah, because remember when the so they're called Sabrax. That's their race, the Sabrax on Dathomir. Whenever like you'd be fighting the dudes, with the horns, the Sabrax with the horns, and every now and again like they get this renewed strength and they start fighting you harder and they have green eyes. It's all because of the power of the Night Sisters that are pushing.
Well,
that.
in the game, whenever they would teleport, they would bounce around from place, and they would turn green.
Mm-hmm.
They would do a green puff and then appear somewhere else. But no, the green eyes I'm fine with. It's the fact that they brought zombie stormtroopers into Star Wars.
Those are called Night Troopers.
I don't
They are
care.
zombies. They are zombies.
They are
No, they're straight up zombies. It was like an Evil Dead episode. It was ridiculous.
They got up and they were just like, I was like, I will say they were more accurate.
Yeah, they do better when they're not they're not alive.
Yes.
You know what I did? Okay. Aside from Sabine suddenly being able to wield the Force, like right when she was about to die, there's something about like seeing a Jedi be smart for a second and just hold the lightsaber and like, and then just take somebody out by just like turning it on for half a second and just like having it go right through their head.
Yep.
Like that makes sense. But okay, they did that. Thought that was cool, and then as soon as she did that, Ezra's like, "Oh yeah, I've got the Force too," and then he takes out the other guy.
I noped out so many parts in this this episode.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It was. I will say I did appreciate, and I always do, the Back to the Future 2 reference in this, where they're running away from the Night Troopers and they jump off the cliff, and then suddenly they're standing on top of the ship as it rises up. I mean, that's straight up out of Back to the Future when Biff's about to shoot Marty on the top of Trump Tower, Biff Tower, with Biff's Pleasure Paradise. I mean, they modeled Biff after Trump when they made that movie. It's hilarious. But he jumps off and then he's like, "Oh, you're dead," and then suddenly you just see Marty like rising up and he's standing just like, "Okay, whatever," like a magic carpet.
Yeah, like
same thing here.
Aladdin.
Yeah. So like all of that stuff is just like it's all paying homage to that.
So quick side trail for a minute. I was watching the live action Aladdin with my kids today because my son was homesick.
Can your friends go?
There were some parts of that film that were good compared to the original, though. Will Smith compared to Robin Williams doesn't even hold a candle.
No, but I didn't mind his take.
No,
I mean it's like
overall,
it had to be.
But
different.
here's where I have a.
If they were gonna get somebody to play a live action Aladdin, for what he
Robin
did,
Williams couldn't do it.
No,
actually, he probably could
if somebody tried to emulate Robin Williams, it would have been horrible. Like nobody should try to do that.
It would have been.
They said,
really
let's
bad.
do a whole new take on this character and make it like more like modern.
Right. Well, here's where I asked my daughter. I was like, "So, how did this happen?" She's like, "I don't know." So when they do the whole Prince Ali song and he's coming into Agrabah, and the genie is
City of Mystery.
Well, no, the genie is doing the Prince Ali, fabulous the whole thing, and he has this whole entourage that comes in, camels and elephants and people dancing and all this stuff and all this stuff, and the doors close. Where does everybody go? That they don't know that he made this stuff up. Like, do they just disappear and people go, "Oh, what?" Or are they like living with people? Like, I sit there and go, I don't get this. In both movies, they just poof.
They just don't explain it. Yeah.
And in the live action, they look across from the water, and it's this like streamers, like confetti is falling. Like it's this. They're filling up half the city. Where do they go?
Where do they go? Yeah, I have no idea.
I was
but that's the whole joke about it. It's like it's clearly some kind of genie magic.
Well, obviously, but no one realized it.
Nobody thinks about it because nobody cares. They're not thinking that, oh, there's a genie here, clearly, because it's like a normal thing. It's not. Nobody questions it because we're not seeing that side of it. And that goes right back to the same thing. It's like, well, we're not seeing people, have a sandwich or use the toilet. It's just they didn't bother focusing on that because that would be a whole other movie if they were getting into that detail. Like, kind of like The Chosen. Like, what happens to the people around Jesus? Not just the stories of Jesus, but like what's happening when he's off in the wilderness? What are these guys up to? It's, normally we don't care about stuff like that. so they're not going to bother. But yes, there are tons of inconsistencies, just like the biggest thing we've always talked about. When there's a big battle going on top of a building and half the building's being knocked off, aren't there a ton of people killed by all the falling debris? No,
Probably.
we never talk about that.
No, not in
No.
the island.
Not in the islands.
Not in the island.
Not when half the building comes down.
The building comes down and they're still pretty.
Both
Their
of them are
makeup
still
and their
fine.
hair is perfect.
Well, they have to be, because they have to be there for their sponsors or their donors, or whatever they call them.
Right.
So they can give them a skin graft or something.
Well, I will say this. I don't know about you guys,
Renovatio.
but I am like with this episode now. I'm all set.
Well, let me just look through here and see if there's anything I want to touch upon.
Yeah,
Underestimating
I
Jedi,
second
blah,
that
blah,
with
blah.
Chuck. I'm done with Star Wars for a while.
I feel like a lot of the dialogue in this episode was redundant. Like there was a ton of redundant dialogue. Like Ahsoka talking to Sabine about there's more to being a Jedi than just wielding a lightsaber. And she goes, "Yeah, well, it seems like that helps." It's like,
Yeah.
like it was just like some of it was just really bad dialogue, and it just seemed redundant because it's like we all know this. You're not telling us anything new. Like we get that.
I hated I tried. I did.
Yeah,
I did.
Did you keep up with your training? I tried. I did.
I
I
did.
do.
I do. I do. That goes back to the whole do or do not. There's
no try.
There was no
I'm like,
try.
Yeah. Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Really? Why? It was dumb.
Then you had the whole thing with Hu Yang and the little Nodi dude, the snail dude, like trying to repair the ship. Very porgy, very much like Chewbacca and the Porgs. Just like for comedic effect, that's what they're doing now. Is these little snail hobbits or snail Harfoots going around.
So ridiculous.
Yeah, honestly, it's so funny just the way that he approaches everything. The way that that meme I read was so spot on because it's just like the Jedi are approaching swiftly. Getting to the ship would be problematic. We need more time. And she just goes, I understand. He's basically saying, I need you to stay here and fight them off because I did not
No,
plan
we need
this
you to
as
stay
well.
here and die.
Yeah. And he goes, for the Empire. And she just goes, And as soon as he leaves, she goes, for Dathomir. Like, how dare you? This is for Dathomir. And then she fights and she dies. And when she dies, I'm kind of like, we've seen people get cut across the stomach in Star Wars, and like they all survive somehow. Some of them get bisected, and
Saw
they're
Sabine
still
get
fine.
stabbed.
Straight stabbed, and she's down. And I'm like, how long was she down for? And then suddenly she's okay.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll come back in season 2.
But yeah, I think the biggest thing is like rewatching it.
Well, resurrections are a thing of witches.
Exactly.
right.
They are a thing of
And
witches.
Jedi.
And Jedi. You're right. You're absolutely right. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Necromancy.
You've also got this thing with Shin going back to those samurai Tusken Raiders, whatever they are.
Why?
And just because she's gonna go somewhere.
Army.
I don't know.
She wants an army. For what?
Uh-huh.
To go to war with the ant people?
No, she's gonna go after what's his name?
Yeah. No,
Oh,
she's not gonna
Balin?
go after Balin. She's gonna go after Balin?
He left her.
He told her to leave, and she did.
He left her.
He told her,
training.
go take your place in your new empire.
Why didn't she just... Oh, okay. Whatever.
Really? Why didn't she just do it?
Yeah. I don't know.
She's when Ahsoka invited her in, she realized my master has left me,
Okay.
and now she's gonna go after him with these.
I don't think she's going after him.
Here are your options.
I think she's
You are
just to
on-
be a
You are
confused
not in your
character.
galaxy. You are on a remote planet. You have absolutely no way of escape. You have no way of get off. You have 3 options. Number 1, you can either do what your master told you to do and go take your place in your new empire, safe haven, all the riches in the world and power, which is exactly what you've wanted this entire season. You said a couple of times in this season, I want power. Option number 2. You can go and gear up and put together an army and go after whoever you want to go after, but you're staying here. What are you choosing? I'm leaving. Why didn't she just
Not her.
go? No, not her at all. Not
'Cause
her
vengeance.
at all. For
Mhm.
what? Vengeance for what?
Him leaving her.
I don't buy it.
She told her to go.
And she did.
And she did.
Yep. Yep.
She changed her
That's
mind.
it.
Well, wait a minute.
She's mad at him.
Mhm.
I'm telling you. I bet you 100. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to take all your money.
What you're describing? What you're describing is autism. Okay, that's what you're describing.
Autism.
What you're describing is autism. Like, no, I'm done.
That's why. I'm telling you, that's why. Why would she, other than that, why would she not go back to the Empire?
I don't
actually
know.
Join
That's
with,
the thing. I don't know because the show didn't tell me why she didn't go back.
because she's mad at him. Because she's mad at him.
That would be stupid.
You're no, because it makes sense. She's
It
mad
doesn't
at him.
make
Just
sense.
Let her go. He let her go. Oh, Mama's boy in this random.
No,
This
no,
random-
stop.
Oh my gosh.
There is.
They had the best moment for it in the end of season 1 and never took advantage of it, but it will happen in season 2. Let me tell you.
Let's look longingly into each other's eyes.
That was it was
is
so
very
weird.
different.
And nothing, and yet
very
nothing
different.
And here's
Okay.
the thing. And here's the thing.
You have two characters who
I
are
don't-
staring longingly into each other's eyes, and they're on the precipice of kissing, but they don't because some things are going on the street. Versus this, where guys
Oh,
like
because the camera cuts away. That's
go
why.
take your place in your new empire, and she says okay, and she leaves to do it. I don't know what happened in her head. I don't know why she decided. You know what? No,
Ahsoka got in her head. Ahsoka got in her head when
Stay.
she invited her in to stay, and she's
Yeah.
like, "Why? My master didn't invite me to stay. He let me go.
Well,
He let me go." She's pissed at him. I'm
Yeah,
telling
maybe.
you, that's why.
So
That's
so
why.
you're gonna sacrifice your career, or your station, your position in the empire. You're gonna sacrifice all that to just revenge.
I'm telling you, in some cultures, like the Japanese culture, like in Karate Kid 2,
That's-
where honor is a
Yeah,
huge
that's
thing.
that's a different thing.
What-
This isn't anime. If this was anime, I would agree. I would say yeah, it's probably a culture thing, or it's probably like loyalty, respect, all that good stuff where they pride. That's a culture that prides themselves on that kind of thing. That's not what she's doing.
We'll find out,
All right.
or will we?
I have a lot of stuff to say, basically in comparison between this and Loki, because we're going to talk about Loki as well, which will also release this week. But the reality is this: Disney is. I always laugh at that GIF I saw of Mickey Mouse with the Infinity Gauntlet, and he had like Fox and Star Wars and like everything as a
Yeah.
stone. And that's the reality, is that Disney owns everything that
Everything.
we used to hold near and dear. And it blows my mind, because I think Guardians of the Galaxy 3, that F-bomb just shows, to me, like that's to me that's like the definitive moment that Disney is doing. It's like, hey, everything that you know about us and everything you know about all these other IPs that you loved, F it. That's literally what they did by doing that. It's like,
Right.
wow, that's so weird that you just did that. Like, we would never think that Disney would go to that point, but now they are. And it's like, okay, God, fine. Well, forget you too.
Right.
Here we are. So I'm going to say, as far as Ahsoka goes, it had its moments. It was nice to see things live action, but the reality is this is also garbage, just like the stuff we've been seeing lately.
So I won't, for the whole series, the whole season, I won't say that. There was the majority of the episodes were decent. There were a few that were like, eh. This was overall, this was not a bad season. This episode, because it's the last thing that we experienced, makes it feel that way.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
get
There
that
were-
bad taste.
There were 5 or 6 good episodes out of the 8. So I'm not gonna shoot the whole thing down the drain. There was just towards the end. Again, I go back to 8 episodes. They killed it. they don't have enough time to tell the whole story.
So
Would you
I
want?
look at it
would
like
you
this.
want more time? Like, what other story was there to tell?
Well,
More,
Well,
more
it's what I'm
story.
like-
More story of Ahsoka not being the focal point of a show called Ahsoka, because that's basically what it would have been if there were more episodes. Yeah, I'm with Lee. There was one fantastic episode.
yeah,
And
and
that
it
was
was episode
it.
5.
That was it. This entire show was used to get to that moment, and it was used to set you up for now there's necromancy.
For Heir to the
it was
Empire.
used.
No,
It,
they're doing an Heir to the Empire type thing.
fine.
They are.
Fine. But we set up necromancy. We set up the idea that death and resurrection may not be what we think death and resurrection are. Like, that's all this series did. That's all this season did. Hey, now the idea of resurrections is in your mind. Good luck, guys.
I mean, so do you
No
guys
resurrections this time.
do you guys see what I was getting at? Like you were saying, like, oh, Thrawn's gonna die. Thrawn's gonna die. Like you kept saying, like Thrawn's done. He's just gonna be done because he's gonna be taken out.
I still think
Dude,
he's
but
gonna
you see-
die. I think it's gonna be really.
I mean,
stupid,
yeah,
too.
eventually, but I mean, by the end of this season, they're showing that he's coming back and it's gonna be a big deal, and Ezra's gonna play a big part in
It's
it
not
one way or
earned.
another
It's not earned.
It's
His
not
return
earned.
is not earned.
because
He's an
it was
idiot.
not
Okay,
anything.
So I will say
cinematically.
this: Thrawn did die from a certain point of view.
That's what I said before, right?
He was nerfed big time. So the idea, the story, the character of Thrawn was nerfed. So he died in this
Well, he died as soon as Disney took over.
from a certain
In that
point.
case,
So he is
because
dead.
they made 2 other trilogies since Disney took over, and I've read one of those books, and it was okay, to say the least. It was okay. It's all about like his origin, like where he came from before he was working for the Empire, and back then it was just like he was just really really good and really really tactical at a super young age, and they're like, wow, like he understands this way more than he should. He's just super intelligent. But anyway, I feel like, I mean, do you agree? I don't know if it's what they're. I don't think they've announced anything yet, but it seems like they're really pushing for. There's going to be some type of storyline that's going to go along with these caskets, that are there, which would make sense if they're doing some type of like Heir to the Empire story. Because the whole thing about Heir to the Empire was he was trying to bring back the clone, so he had a clone army. That's basically what it is. So if this is an undead army that takes place of the clone army, I would not put it past Disney to do so. So, I mean, that makes sense, right? Like, that's what they're going to push for, is
Could
he's
be.
going to try this, is like his way of trying to beef back up the remnant of the Empire. And then, of course, it doesn't really work out. And then the New Order, or First Order, or, whatever
Right.
shows up, Order 67, whatever it is. That's kind of what they're doing here.
Right. So I will say this: we've spent way more time on this episode than I've wanted.
We spent about 15 minutes on this actual episode.
Again, I go back to saying we spent way too much time on this episode. So I'm cooked at this point with this episode personally. Will?
Yeah, I'm done.
All right, cool.
All right.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us on this wonderful 8-episode adventure discussing Ahsoka.
Stay tuned, everybody,
mean-
because in a few weeks we're going to be starting a new adventure about Stranger Things. Yay!
Yeah,
You are not excited about this at all.
I am. I actually
No,
am.
Lee. Lee. I'm
Oh.
talking about Lee.
I will say this. The only thing I'll say about this is I didn't not enjoy the show. I'm just...
You
What?
didn't like it.
I didn't?
No, I tried to tell you about this years ago, and you told me flat out. You're like, I don't like it. I can't get into it.
I told you I watched the first episode 3 times and couldn't get into it. But then
I thought he made it further than the first episode.
Listen to me. There's more to my story. I've got more
Okay.
to say.
Oh.
I watched the first episode like 2.5, maybe 3.5 times, and just couldn't get into it. Then I got past the first episode, watched the second, and then I ended up watching like everything after that within, the next month.
Okay.
So
didn't know
I've
this.
watched it. No, we've talked about this. I'm fully. We've
thought
had
you only
discussions on
watched,
the show.
I thought you only watched like season 4 or whatever.
season 4. That's all they had were 4 seasons.
I thought, but you made it sound like you only watched the 4th season.
No, I watched all of it.
Okay,
No, I watched
never
the
mind
whole,
then.
the
Okay.
whole thing. No, no. So my thing is this: the way that people were raving about it, I was expecting more of like twists and like kind of like a mind trip, not just this nostalgia fest.
Shh.
I agree.
I don't want to hear anymore.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not talking about
I
the
know,
show
but
itself. It's more about
he-
my.
I know, but I don't even want to hear what all. The
I'm just saying,
nostalgia fest-
don't get your hopes up,
Shh.
thinking that it's like some like
I don't have.
mystery.
I
There's
don't
no
have-
mystery to it.
I don't have any hopes. I don't want to know what it's about. I don't want to. I've heard. I don't want to know.
You are
anything.
hopeless. All right, perfect.
Okay.
Well, all right. Well,
And if any of this happens while we're going through it, I'm telling you right now.
I don't remember it that well. I'll be watching it with you. So
If any of this, what is this?
When he was talking about Bruce Wayne in Titans
Oh.
before we knew about it, really.
I love it. I love it.
So I'm good.
Okay.
All right.
All
All right,
right.
everyone.
All right.
Have a great one.
Hey, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey everybody, Lee from Black and White Reviews here. Just wanted to take a moment to thank you for tuning in, checking out our conversation. If you like this discussion and you want to hear more about this specific subject or other things, check us out on our podcasting sites, whether it's Spotify, Apple Music, or Google Podcasts. We're up on pretty much all of them. So yeah, thanks again for popping by, and yeah, be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks.